Hello.
Call this meeting. Okay, welcome everyone to our Fillmore Piru Groundwater Sustainable Agency. Thank you so much for attending. Our first off is a Pledge of Allegiance. And if I can get Director Fornoff to lead us in it, that'd be wonderful.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next up, if we could have our director roll call.
Okay, here we go. Director Fornoff,
Here.
Director Jackson,
Here.
Director Kimball,
Here.
Chair Long,
Here.
Director Mendez,
Here.
Director Minigan.
Here.
Perfect.
And I'd like to welcome, if everyone could look at your Zoom, we have our Director Albert Mendez is our new appointee for the city of Fillmore, and just really appreciate your service and serving here in the Fox Canyon. So Fillmore Piru, wrong board meeting I'm in. So thank you for doing it. Is there anything you'd like to say, Director Mendez?
No, I not at this time right now, but I'm just honored to serve on this board and look forward to working with you all.
Okay, well, I will let you know this crew is not a shy crew. We would love to help you in any way to catch you up on things, and we'll reach out with you, not on this meeting, but just so you know. Okay, the next up we have is public comments. Are there any public comments?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, and then approval of agenda. If I could pass this on to Tony to go over the agenda if there's any changes.
Chair Long, no changes to the agenda proposed.
Where'd you go? Uh-oh.
You're on mute.
Did we lose her?
Next is the update. Sorry, I'm getting booted out of this room so that they could set up a buffet.
We need to do roll call.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I don't see anybody in the room. Yeah.
I don't know. I just got told that. So apologize. I got a little sidetracked. First up will be our Fillmore Pumper Association Stakeholder Directors Update.
I need to do a roll call vote.
Chair Long, did we approve
Oh, we
the
didn't do the roll
agenda?
call vote. Sorry.
I think you got interrupted.
I did. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, and a roll call.
All righty.
Is it okay if I just sit over there?
Director Fornoff,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Kimball,
Aye.
Chair Long,
Aye.
Director Minigan,
Aye.
Director Mendez.
Aye.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, the next is the Fillmore's Pumper Association Stakeholder Group. Any updates?
Thank you. I don't have anything to report. We met last Tuesday and everyone was a little bit shell-shocked and quite busy. So I have nothing to report.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Piru Pumper.
It echoes what Debbie had said. We are working towards our assessments, but it was a fairly short meeting but productive.
Okay, and how about our environmental?
Hi, everyone. Some updates. I found my Form 700 form. Pedrick Ranch Nature Areas, which is one of the sites that Friends of the Sanitary Stewards on the main stem was quite heavily impacted by the recent flooding events. Our nursery is no longer there. Our storage containers have moved and are going to have to require some tractors to get out. Fortunately, our new nature trail that we did in honor of Linnea Hall from the Western Foundation was not negatively impacted, but we are definitely going to have to do some cleanup and reassessment on where to place a new nursery and do some activities on site. Then with regards to Fillmore, we have some ongoing outreach with the local schools in partnership with Ventura County Resource Conservation District. We're doing outreach at the Fillmore Nature Trail, Ethnobotany Nature Trail. On January 25th, Sean Kelly with Santa Clara River Conservancy is going to be doing a tour at the Sespe Cienega restoration site for electeds and agency representatives. This is being offered through the Upper Santa Clara River Watershed Committee as part of their Water Talks program with community outreach. So if folks are interested in that, I can circulate the event and you can sign up for a site visit to go see that site in person and better understand what the restoration goals there are. We had our stewardship meeting, which is a subcommittee of the Friends Board on Monday, where we assessed, the flood damage at HRNA. Piru, there is a community notification that on January 21st, which I believe is Saturday, from 11 to 4, there's an event called Piru Muddy Waters, and it's going to be on North Main and Orchard Street in Piru, where the community can basically come out and help the properties that have been negatively impacted. It's just a community enhancement and responding to flood damage event. And then at our stewardship meeting, I spoke to Sandy Hedrick. He's on our Friends Board, but also on the Santa Clara River Conservancy Board. Sandy owns property downstream of where our monitoring well is. What you folks know is there's the node where there's Cold Creek, which is a groundwater dependent ecosystem that's spring fed that I've been talking about a bit with regards to potential over summer rearing habitat for southern steelhead. And Sandy's agreed for me to put hobos out in Cold Creek. And those are ultimately water temperature monitors. He's done some temperature monitoring out there himself. And historically, temperatures have maintained like 60 degrees centigrade, which is really favorable for steelhead over the summer period. I've done some reconnaissance travel through the watershed. And some other restoration partners have done some drone footage of the impact to restoration sites. We all understand that scouring and flood events are part of the nature, but some sites have been negatively impacted. Farmland's obviously been considerably impacted in some areas. And a lot of our riparian forest habitat is washed away in compartments of the river. But we just hopeful. In some areas it's been good. Big chunks of monoculture arunda have been removed, so we'll try and monopolize on that and try and get whatever little bits of arunda are still out there with if it's within project areas where we have funding for removal. So that's the objective in and around Hedrick Ranch Nature Area in connection with IRWM funding and the Santa Clara River Conservancy. So yeah, I think it's like many people, it's responding to the recent floods. And yes, Dan, sorry, I meant Lost Creek, not Cold Creek. Yeah, and I suppose that is all for me for now.
All right, thank you. City of Fillmore, any updates?
Yeah. I have a real quick update. So last week, the city of Fillmore, city council met, and it was brought to the council's attention by, council member Villaseñor about the GSA project of upgrading the IT infrastructure within our council chambers. And so, the council did agree to have, city staff look into it further and see what can be done. So they, we'll have city staff looking into it, and hopefully we can, upgrade our IT infrastructure for this project.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for that update. We do appreciate it. Since way back when, we used to have meetings at the city of Fillmore, so thank you. Next, United.
So my update, if Dan's here, I'm gonna punt to Dan and ask him to tell us how much. Yep. How much water we've been able to collect.
Sorry, that didn't make it to you, Director.
No problem.
So Bram summarized some of our recent gains for water storage and diversions. Lake Piru on October 1st was at 1077 feet with a storage of 15,000 acre feet. As of today, we're at 1023 and our storage is 48,000 acre feet. So we've come up over 33,000 acre feet and 46 feet of stage at that lake. We're very pleased about that. There is a fair bit of damage both to Piru Canyon Road and to our facilities. The docks are out in the middle of the lake. We couldn't keep up with rising waters. So we've got some cleanup to do. There's a lot of mud in the campground, but as far as water resources, we're really pleased to have good storage there. That probably also is very good for our quagga problem. This is kind of an ideal scenario where our water levels came up rapidly. We had a lot of sediment coming into the lake, and it's not spawning season for those quagga. So with all that vegetative matter in the lake and debris, we should go anoxic in those deeper portions of the lake. And I'm not sure we'll knock out the entire population, but it should be really helpful with knocking down that population. So more to come on that. We have a monitoring program for quagga and veligers in the water column and such. Downstream, we've had very large flows at Freeman, which is just west of the Fillmore Basin boundary by several miles. We're still working on the rating curves. There was a lot of vegetation in the stream channels that complicated the cross-sectional area. We've seen conditions at Freeman we'd never seen before with a bunch of high backwater or high water levels and with the turbulence and the roughness, channel roughness downstream. But the estimate is we had from 70 to 100,000 CFS as peak flow, and that has now scoured much of that vegetation, as Candace was mentioning, up and down the river. We've had a lot of, if you go to the beach, you'll see a lot of arundo and other logs. So definitely a reset. We're looking at that both at Freeman and elsewhere. So you probably know we don't divert and recharge that highly turbid water. It's not good for our ponds, but we have been diverting water over the recent week. We've diverted 5,900 acre feet since January 1st. And with those storms in December, we're up to 7,300 for the water year. So more to come on that. We'll have good base flows through the spring. Hopefully with additional rain, we'll continue and have a good diversion year. It's been since 2011 since we've had a really good diversion year from the watershed. And additionally, we have water stored in Castaic Lake. There's a downstream water agreement where the flood flows are held for United and other downstream users. We're considering an early release this year where the basin is wetted up there in Santa Clarita area and Lower Castaic Creek. We should get pretty good conveyance. So we're considering a spring release and not a summer release from Castaic. And so we can feed the Piru Basin with that stored flood flow. It's at least 10,000 acre feet. So all good news there. And again, Director Kimball, I'm sorry those numbers didn't make it to you. But
Thank you, Dan. You did a better job than I. So.
Well, I expect we're at committee, our district meeting, board meeting next month. We're going to summarize a lot of what we saw throughout the watershed, and perhaps we can bring some abbreviated presentation to this board if they wish.
Right.
Great, that's great. I love to follow up with all this rain. I think getting like Piru, what it was 46 feet of water, and just to hear from around the county how our lakes are filling up, and that United has captured groundwater, and that it's actually all over. The water is just being absorbed by the earth instead of cast away to the ocean. I think is great. I do want to note for the county of Ventura, we, as of Tuesday, have done a disaster declaration, which is extremely important for making sure that we can get funding from the state and federal levels on fixing all the damage. Like, for example, I'm trying to get money for the bridge for the train tracks that we were talking about earlier that is gone now. That's such an economy driver for Santa Paula and Fillmore. Also, that people actually walk on that bridge to get to the cities. So it's important to get that going. Also, we had a Piru Neighborhood Council meeting last night. I wanted to say thank you so much to the Public Works, Ventura County Public Works, CHP, Caltrans, the Sheriff's Department, Fire, for really making sure that our roads and are as clear as possible. We had over 1,300 calls on the first storm with 80 rescues, which is huge. Now, for this basin, that's great, but we also need to get our roads open. And so I drove around Piru yesterday and it looks pretty good. Still, there's a lot of work still to do, and Public Works is really doing that a great job of just being as active as possible. But the declaration does help with residential getting restoration and so forth. So I wanted to make sure that I at least announced to all of you that, in case you know people that need that assistance with recovery from this. So that's it for Stormwatch January, hopefully. And next up we have is our executive director's update.
So can I
Everyone,
just,
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Candace.
Supervisor, can I send you the Piru cleanup thing? Because there's a link on there that they asking people to do a GoFundMe, and I think there's clearly a need for funding in Piru, and maybe just it's connecting their neighborhood council with your office or the county with regards to what opportunities are coming up.
Yeah, send me that link. We did talk with CAL FIRE last night as well. They have a volunteer cert program that's coming to help residents and so forth. We also talked to all the residents, and they'll be getting emails also with restoring funds and food and all the different things. So yeah, send it over to me. Thank you.
As for the executive director's update, Chair Long and board have a few items. We did successfully submit the 2 grants for the Fillmore and the Piru Basin for the SGM round 2 grant applications. That seems like a long time ago. That was December 16th. So we got those submitted, and we're working to wrap up all the paperwork on the last grant. So the planning grant. We have one item that DWR has not yet reviewed, and I'm pestering Eduardo Petch every week. He responded this morning that he had been diverted from his normal duties, and he's helping with DWR's flooding team in the San Joaquin and other places in the state. So he promised he would get to reviewing that last document this weekend, but I believe that's the last deliverable from several years worth of work on the initial couple $1 million grant. And now is really not a good time to go out to visit the monitoring wells, but I haven't forgot about that. And so we'll try to get that scheduled when things dry up a little bit. We also have something that nobody wants to hear, but important to pay for things, as we have the semi-annual billing for the period July 1st to December 31st. United is collecting all the information, and then we'll be able to get the billing out for groundwater usage for the GSA within the next few weeks, likely in mid-February. We do have a couple well permit reviews, and we have some other information. I was hoping that our legal counsel would be here tonight. He may have forgotten the 4 o'clock start time because I did correspond with him on email this morning and did not remind him. So we may see him show up at the very end. But Alex Lemieux last week did give us some response on county council's position on county well permitting. Dan and I did meet with county staff. At present, the county is planning to just stick to the ministerial part of the well permitting, and probably until challenged by somebody, perhaps. So we'll circle back. I think we have a good idea where county council and staff stand, and we'll get back together, and that's something that we need to continue to work on, what our GSA's part of the executive order implementation is. But in the meantime, we have at least one well permit review in Bardsdale that's very much like the one that somebody's planting a new taking out 80-year-old citrus trees and putting in something else. And so they want to have more reliable water. And so they're asking to put a well on the property versus getting water from Southside Improvement District, because that's gravity fed, it's 24 hours, and it's difficult for them to work with. So we'll be bringing that likely next week. The staff review has started on that. We'll try to get a good hydrological and hydrogeological report. We should be, Dan, when do we collect the springtime groundwater levels? Is that in February or March? Well,
That's mid-March, yeah.
Mid-March. So maybe we'll wait till after that. It'd be nice to see what we have on groundwater levels, but certainly we'll see major improvements in groundwater levels in both the Piru and the Fillmore basins from this kind of precipitation and runoff. And just a reminder that we will next month's meeting, we will still be able to meet via Zoom, but the March 16th meeting will be at the Fillmore City Hall at 4 o'clock. So that is reserved, and we're having to go back to that. It's very convenient to do Zoom, and we've done really good and productive jobs this way, but we're as the COVID emergency ends, then we will be moving back to the Fillmore City Hall. And Director Mendez, I will reach back out to City Manager David Rowlands. We met previously, and we have some good ideas. Some of my team members have some good ideas on things we could do. That may take us a while, so we'll start off putting a plan together, and we can get that budgeted. But in the meantime, we will be meeting in person. I've gotten to go to a couple in-person meetings where there was a pretty good crowd lately, and it's actually kind of nice. So that's all I have, Chair Long, unless there are any questions.
Thank you.
Any questions? If not, our legal counsel will go to our GSP consultant update.
Evening, everyone. Just a few quick things to add on to what the executive director was talking about, just for your own information. Those grants that we submitted for the round 2 totaled $3.9 million between the 2 basins. So that's a significant chunk of money there. About rounded off 2.4 of it was in Fillmore and the balance in Piru. So gives you a relative idea of the split. For the February meeting, there's a couple of things going to hit your inbox. A draft of the annual reports should be ready for your perusal starting at the next meeting. And just a reminder, we'll need to get comments back by the March meeting because we do have a hard April 1st deadline to submit these. So any comments you can give to us early would be appreciated. But if we need to wait till the March meeting, then that can still work as well. Next month, we anticipate also having a draft of the subsidence update for your review as well. A couple of documents for you to look at and to, for your late night reading pleasure. And that's it on my end. Any questions?
Any questions for Tony? If not, thank you very much. That ends our updates for tonight. We will move on to our consent calendar. Are there any questions on the consent calendar? If not, could I get a motion to approve?
I so move.
Okay, there's been a first and a second, please.
I can do the second.
Okay, so first by Director Fornoff and a second, or by Director Jackson and a second by Director Fornoff. Roll call, please.
Director Fornoff,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Kimball,
Excuse me, aye.
Chair Long,
Aye.
Director Mendez,
Aye.
Director Minigan.
Hi.
Perfect.
All right, that motion is approved. I somehow thought there were more items on today's agenda. So Director Mendez, you got off easy today. Are there any future topics of board discussion that anyone would like to bring up? You know, you can always email Tony on it, but we take this time just to ask if anyone needs it. If not, I am going to adjourn this meeting at 4:29, and we'll see you at the next meeting, which is February 16th.
Well, I
Alright.
almost don't want to get off and want to think of something to say.
I'm actually in a huge shock because this never happens.
Probably the first.
Yes, you're a good luck charm, Director Mendez.
I
All
don't
right,
know. We email Ed McFadden and say we might have broken his record.
Probably. Probably.
I think we did.
We did, yes.
We
All
did.
right. Well, all of you have a wonderful day and enjoy your time.
All right.
Thank
You
you.
as well.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
Bye now.
Right.